Good afternoon, YouTube. Here's the wiring diagram and information on the compressor. The compressor, it's a Keota compressor, which I think is made maybe in Wisconsin, someplace in the Midwest. The freezer itself is made in Indiana. And yeah, all made in the USA, 130 pounds. It's on casters, so it moves around pretty easy. I like it. It's just super simple. And then inside here, so yeah, down here you've got the 12-volt fan, pretty good size fan in there. And then there's the compressor, and then you've got the wiring, the light and the thermostat dial over there. And then there's just a small electronics module right here. And here's your power wires. I think they have a MOV across there for surge suppression. So I didn't want to mess with the wires they supplied. I got my connector on the end there, so I have one of these Euro style or DIN 12 24-volt plugs. I showed you in an earlier video I have some 12 gauge stranded wire in here, and then I spliced it to the 10 gauge that comes out of the electronics box there. I think I have like 3 layers of heat shrink over there for some strain relief, so that should be a pretty solid connector. So let's see, one thing they mention in the owner's manual is this fan here. You need to clean it probably every 6 months, they recommend. So kind of brush the fan blades clean, and then there's the coil on the back here. So let me show you that here. Okay, so this is the back of the freezer here, and there's this grill that covers the condenser coils. And the way it is set up here, there's a sheet metal screw that holds that grill in place, and there's your condenser fins. You need to get in and blow those out periodically, so I'll probably just take some compressed air and blow through there. But I was thinking, getting that screw out, here's the wall, and then slide the freezer out a little bit. You're going to have to get a screwdriver back there, and then you got a little screw, you're going to drop the screw, and it's going to roll someplace. So I could see that being a real pain. So anyway, what I came up with was I got a little piece of metal here. I made a swing clamp out of that. Yeah, so I have that piece there, and then I made a little dimple in it to hook into the screw hole here. So that way the dimple kind of catches that and holds it in place. And then I cut a little spacer and cut that to the thickness, the end of that grill there, and then just moved over and drilled a hole just off to the side, and now I can screw that thing in. So I thought I'd make my life easier with this little clamp. Got to get the tension just right here. It's a little loose. I want it so you can swing it up and out of the way. A little bit of friction on there. That's probably a little too tight. There we go. Get a little bit of, there we go. Yeah, and then when I want to take it off, then I can just flip that down, blow this thing out, and then you just have to get this lined up. I might even put a short screw in that hole and cut it off. Okay, one thing I did on this to make it a little easier to use is I took a screw and cut the head off and then turned it in with a pair of vice grips. So it leaves a little bump there, and that gives me an alignment notch, so I know where to put this thing. And then that'll snap over there and hold it in place. This is going to be up against the wall, so when I need to get in there, I'm going to slide this out from the wall a ways, but I will just be reaching around the back side, and I really won't be able to see anything back here unless I move it out so far that I can climb behind it. But the idea is I don't want to have to move it that far. So yeah, I think that's going to work. The freezer pulls air in from behind, and because of that, you can't push this edge of the freezer up flush against the wall. Now they do have these hinge brackets here that stick out about 1.75 inches. I have some foam blocks there that are about 1.5 inches, and I was just going to take those and got some Velcro on there. Put one there, And there we go. That way I can just shove this freezer up against the wall until those foam blocks hit. So yeah, I think that'll do it. So I just need to clear out some space in my garage so I can move this back in and then plug it in and see if it works. Okay, there we go, YouTube. Freezer's in place. Wasn't too hard to get in here. And then I stuck my foam blocks on the back so that way I can shove the freezer up against the back wall. And then I've got a block I'll put over here. I think it's about 3/4 or 1 inch. Put on this side just to have a little bit of clearance so the lid will go up and down. And I got my freezer thermometer over there. Yeah, so there's a slight downhill slope here. This side is a little bit high, just a few millimeters high, but I think that'll work because the drain is in the back corner close to where the compressor hump is. So when you defrost it, the water's going to go out the back there. So having it slope just slightly downhill towards that drain is perfect, so I don't think I need to use the adjustable feet down. I'm just going to leave this thing pushed up against the wall with those foam blocks. Lid goes all the way up and it hits my shelf right there in the corner, just a hair before it hits the bottom of the cabinet. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the freezer to kick on again. I ran into a small problem up in the attic. I had wired the shunt backwards on the power meter, so it was measuring voltage, and I never checked that it was measuring current. And I guess on these DC panel meters, if the current is, quote, negative, they read 0. They don't report negative power flow. Freezer just kicked on. But let's go up and take a look at the meter, and we can see how much power it is taking right now.